Welcome back to From the Bookshelf, the ongoing video series where I take a moment to talk about a book that I recently read. And today I want to highlight it's one of my favorite biographies. It's become one of my favorite biographies. I've read it now twice within the past year and a half, and that is the Autobiography of Benjamin Franklin. It's really gravitated toward me. I used to be a big biography reader. That was my very nerdy thing when I was like in middle school and high school. Honestly, that was like my favorite thing to read during a time period when I should have been playing unnecessarily violent video games. I was actually spending a lot of my free time reading biographies. I just love reading about people's life stories. That was my thing. And I've really, like I said, within the past year or so, I've really enjoyed reading and rereading the biography of Benjamin Franklin. I wanted to take a moment to highlight two things that stand out to me from that book, just to give you something to think about today. And the first one is something that it comes up in his biography, but it also comes up in other biographies from people from the early days of the United States there in like the 1700s. And then again, later on, when you get to like Booker T. Washington or Frederick Douglass, this idea that education and literature needs to be made available to all people. Everyone needs to have access to education, and good books as well. You know, whether it's here in the Autobiography of Benjamin Franklin during his youth when he was really like craving books and working hard so that way he had the money to buy books. Personally, life goals right there, right? If you're a book person watching this, life goals. You work so you have money, not for food, not for rent, but for books. That's why we work. We work so we have money for books. But whether it's Ben Franklin here in his biography, especially during his youth, or Booker T. Washington talks about this in Up From Slavery as well. It's like when you have that hunger for education and hunger for books and you finally get access to those, the world is yours, especially in those early days, you know, whether it was post-emancipation, people are able... Black people, former slaves, are able to, you know, claw and scratch to still have to get those kinds of things, to get an education, to get those kinds of books. But the world opened up to them. Or during the early days of our country, you know, education played a big factor. Having access to good books played a big factor in the people who ended up taking lead and being able to lead the country. Those kinds of things. Education, access to books, those are things that we still need today. I really think the health of our country, the health of the citizens of our country does depend on good education and being able to read books. And if you ever watch the other videos I do here, like Seminary Reflections, I talk a lot about how higher education especially is just astronomically high. Price-wise, like going to college, going to grad school, we are setting up a class, right? We are setting up a class of people who can afford to go and will be able to pay their way through, or you're going to take thousands of dollars in interest in loans that is going to cripple you after you graduate. So we are setting up like an elite status of people who can get education. And I don't have any solutions for that. I don't. I wish there was just like a button I could press that would magically make all of this better. I know John Oliver has talked about the rising costs and student loans and has, you know, offered some solutions there. But I wish I could offer a solution to the rising costs of higher education other than stop. Please stop and, you know, stop trying to take advantage of 17-year-olds who want to go to college with your student loans. Like, can we just make this a better system, please? When it comes to making books accessible, I feel like there's an easier route for all of us to take. And hey, support your local library. Like, you know, become a friend of the library. Go to meetings. Get on the library board. Go to their book sales. You know, take advantage of their, free classes and, programs and all this. Like ever since we've moved, I've gotten out of the habit of doing this, but that was the thing that I was doing with my son there for a while. They had the library in our home at our town at the time. They had a weekly children's just activity playtime. And so just even that, just like exposing my son to this is a good place to be. This is a safe place to be. Go play, go explore, look at the books, that kind of a thing. Go be around other children. When it comes to having access to books, take advantage of being a part of your local library. Get a library card. Having fun isn't hard when you've got a library card. The great St. Arthur taught us that. So yes, when you read the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin, it's hard to get through it without being convicted towards this of like, we need to find ways to make education real education, good education, not just, an influencer who has some random class that they offer on some needless skill that will not help you in life, but like education, learning things, learning how to do things. Like we need to find ways, and I wish I had solutions to make that available to everybody, or we're just going to set up another elite class of people who they are the ones who get to be educated, and the rest just, good luck, babe, But when it comes to the availability of books, like get involved with your local library, support your local library. There's obviously other ways to obtain books. Buy books from small, if you got a small independent bookstore, they're the ones who need your money, not Amazon. Go to them and check out their books. We have a bookstore right up the road from us. It's right up the road, and it's the biggest temptation in the world because it's an independent resale bookstore, okay? If it's a brand new book, it's cover price. But the majority of their inventory is older books. It's, just these, like, it's a real resale bookstore. And all of those are $1. That it's the easiest thing in the world. How much am I spending? How many books do I have? 20. Okay, so I'm spending $20 today. So go to your independent bookstores, buy books from them. Be a part of book clubs, book groups. There's plenty of Bookstagram accounts for you to follow, and yes, a lot of them are going to be talking about smut, but maybe we just need some more people who are willing to make Bookstagram accounts that are going to try and appeal to other things besides smut. Anyway, so yes, reading the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin, or From Slavery, The Narrative Life of Frederick Douglass, it's hard to get through those books without realizing we need to be pro-education. We need to be pro-books and make it available for all people, not just a select class, and not just certain kinds of literature and education as well, but ones that are going to develop the whole person and expose somebody to various ideas. The other thing that stands out when you read the narrative life of Benjamin Franklin, or at least when I did, the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin, I meshed the title of that and Frederick Douglass together. The autobiography of Benjamin Franklin is, of course, the moralistic journey that Benjamin Franklin goes on. And this is kind of the thing that people more so focus on, as somebody who was in that very conservative Christian masculine world there for a while. That was kind of like a big thing for me when I was in college. It's hard to go far without hearing about Benjamin Franklin, and he had this journal of all these moralistic skills and virtues that he wanted to master. He wanted moralistic mastery, and he admits in the book he did not achieve that goal, but it was this list of moralistic things that he thought would make someone morally perfect, and focus on this one for so many weeks, add a new one, review. It was this whole thing. And again, if you're kind of from the conservative, masculine Christian world, you've probably run into this before. Kind of Art of Manliness has talked about this thing before. And I think, so I've kind of gone both ways on this part. So on the one hand, obviously, at one point in time, I was like really into this idea. This moralistic character virtue development was like a big thing in that kind of conservative masculine world. And then I kind of went through this period of time where I'm just like rejecting everything. All of that, forget it. All of it is toxic and damaging. And a lot of it is. I'm kind of moving into a place now of, as I'm on like this spiritual journey that I'm in, and trying to understand like my relationship to God, my relationship to Jesus isn't just about doing things. It isn't just moral perfection. It's it's a relationship. It's spending time with him and being in community with others as a way to be in relationship with God and with Jesus. But trying to like, where does that does this at all play a part in that journey still? I don't think a moralistic journal is the end-all be-all, for sure. But where does moral virtue play a factor in spiritual growth? Is this just something that you just kind of let happen like osmosis, just like as I spend my time? And, obviously I'm talking Christian, and yes, this is like a Christian YouTube channel, but I honestly, people of other faith might be able to relate to this as well, other philosophies of like, do you just kind of let it osmose of just like gonna take in the relational, the spiritual, and that changes the physical? Or should there kind of be like a both and of, I am primarily focusing on the relational, the spiritual, but also making space for a moralistic journey? Because when you look at something, again, kind of like from that very masculine world, Stoicism is very popular. Stoicism is very big among men nowadays. And I find Stoicism to be very moralistic driven, as opposed to something like Taoism or even existentialism that is a little bit more spiritual, a little bit more thought, versus Stoicism that is a little bit more concrete, do these things, live this life. And so it's just kind of like this wrestling that I'm in now of, I had the place where I was like, this is the greatest, and then the like outward rejection of all of it. And now I'm kind of at this place of, is there a place to blend these things? Is there a place where there's like, I'm primarily focusing on the spiritual, relational, and then here's like my moralistic thing that I'm doing to form certain virtuous habits that I want? I don't know. Those are the thoughts. I know that's not really like the like as concrete as go support your local library, but go buy books from local bookstores. But that's just kind of where my head is at this point of like, what does this look like in a spiritual journey right now? And of course, you can drop in the comments and give me your 2 cents on that. I probably said a lot of things in this video that could be triggering to certain people, especially on the education part. But those are the things, as I read and reread the Autobiography of Benjamin Franklin, those are the things that have stood out to me. And I would love to hear from you all. Drop in the comments to let me know. If you haven't yet already, please subscribe to the channel. Been putting out a lot of content lately, kind of shifting gears a little bit here as to what this channel is going to be, and more on that to come in future videos. But until next time, I will see you all. Enjoy the rest of your day.